right, so that is what we'll be talking about this morning. And as you've seen there, Professor Tola Badejo joins us next. He's a former Vice Chancellor of Wesley University in Ondo State, but he's now back to Obafemi Awolowo University in Ife, Department of Zoology. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, Kimberly.
Okay, so, all right, what can you tell us? Because, yes, we do know as much. The meeting held, the government has put up a committee to review the no work, no pay policy. Some offers have been made. But there are several other scenarios playing out which details are not fully out as a result of the meetings that are going on. But from what was said yesterday that is in the public domain, how does this come across to you? Do you see this as light at the end of the tunnel concerning ASUU strike?
Well, I just listened to a co-chancellor saying that the dark clouds will soon clear. It is optimism I share, but laced with pessimism. I'm not quite sure that there is light at the end of the tunnel. This is a government that should have done this right from day one. We are talking of a tactical committee now. I'm not sure if after this committee, another committee will be set up to look at what this committee has done. That was the Professor, this former Vice Chancellor of Badejo. There was this committee that made some recommendations. Where are the recommendations? Why should you have to set up another committee to look at what is obvious? It can never apply to professors or university lecturers. Teaching is what we don't do when we're on strike. Teaching. And teaching is just a small fraction of what we do. As researchers, we grade exams, we mark scripts, we do all sorts of things. No professor, no lecturer will abandon research because it's on strike. We all work every day. We work from home, we work from whatever. In Obafemi, there's no house in the quarter that does not have a study, which shows that they know that we work from home and all that. So I'm really amused. Although I'm pleasantly surprised that they are taking this step again. It appears as if they want a face-saving device to make us call off the strike. But until I receive a lot in my account, I would not take a promissory note. And I don't think any ASUU member will want to take a promissory note. You can imagine, 2023 budget. They have been in power since 2015. Now they want to include our demands in 2023 budget for the eve of their departure. It's ridiculous.
Well, Prof, I think, we understand that for you and for every other member of ASUU, that appears to be the bone of contention, hitting nail on the head for them, meaning until they see that they may not call it all off. But could you tell us about this? We read and hear that there's this sustainable peace building committee consisting of former vice chancellors to see how they can also address some of this problem, perhaps liaising with the government. Are you a member of that committee? Have you heard anything about that committee, for instance?
Well, I'm hearing for the first time. I'm not. I was a vice chancellor of a private university, so maybe it's former visits of federal government university and maybe state university. But I'm hearing for the first time. But are these people, did they go on strike? Why is government talking to people who are even out of service? In fact, this meeting with both chancellors, VCs, are they on strike? Talk to us directly. Because as is on strike, you see, one thing that makes me happy about our demand is about this revitalization thing. The money will not be released to ASUU chairman in the various universities. The council and the VC will disburse the money and do what. And I don't see any VC telling a professor of ASUU engineering to go and execute the project or whatever. They are doing it on their own. But if that is the only thing government has done, we would have gone back to work. And they are talking of no work, no pay. It's ridiculous. Me, I've been working. I have been doing research. I've been interacting with colleagues online and everything, but teaching is what we have not been doing. And as I repeat, it's just fraction, it's small fraction of what I did.
So, Prof, however minimal, we must agree that some progress have been made, when you consider information in public domain that federal government may be reconsidering its no work, no pay policy. So with regards to that, what was different this time in the negotiation? Was it the absence of ASUU and the the absence of that aluta continua spirit, or what was different about the approach of pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors at this meeting with the Minister of Education?
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I want to say that if ASUU goes on strike, the federal government should negotiate with those on strike. Remember, there was a time they said Chief of Staff Ibrahim Gambari should head the committee. What happened to that committee? Now, there was a time the BRICS committee, what happened to their recommendations? We read their recommendations. And all the lies that people were telling about their recommendations. So now that they want to review no work, I agree with you that, well, it's I'm pleasantly surprised that they want to review no work. Well, it's just like asking somebody to come and tell you what 2 plus 2 is. The minister knows that no work no pay cannot apply. We're not dock workers. We're not custom officers that make illegal money more than their salary on a daily basis. So nobody should please, disrespect us. This government does not have intellectuals in this country, and it's quite a bit.
So, Prof, like ASUU, do you believe that federal government has money to meet its commitments to the unions, but somehow it's not forthcoming? If you do, why do you believe so?
Well, you have used the right word, believe. You believe what you are not sure of. Well, I don't know whether they have or not, but what I know is that this federal government gave money to Taliban in Afghanistan, gave bought cars for Nigeria Republic. And it's just confirming what some elder statesmen are saying about some agenda, about some section of this country, thinking that they belong to other countries, thinking that they want to make the rulers all over the time. You can imagine this country. Elections around the corner. They are behaving as if they don't want people to vote for their party. It's absurd. It also no work, no pay. Yeah, let them review it. It's a first saving device. Then the co-chancellor and VCs will now tell them, okay, let us pay their outstanding salary, so we will persuade them to go to work and whatever. It's a first saving device. I don't know where it lost that's no input of common sense upheld by a responsible government.
Well, it's also interesting that the Minister of Education is also in some way a product of the academia or a part of the academia himself. And in that meeting that he had with pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors, Prof, he said something that I find quite interesting, and I'd like to have a little bit of understanding, and I hope you'll be able to provide. He said, pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors must demonstrate commitments to ending the ongoing strike. Now, here's what I find interesting. He said, as chairman of councils and senates, the highest policy and academic bodies in the system, you must consider it your paramount duty to promote policies and actions that will discourage industrial disputes in our campuses. So it raises a question in my mind. If this was a fresh call or something that pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors should have been doing hitherto, I'm just wondering how, the schools, the universities are governed by systems or some governance systems, yet they go to strike and are talking to the federal government. Are the governance systems in the universities powerless to even do anything about forestalling these strikes in the first place?
Thank you. I'm very happy you started with the minister. When he was a journalist, well, I didn't know him then, but somebody sent me one of his articles that supported ASUU against this issue of no work no pay. But now I listened to him last week say they want to get paid for work they didn't do. I will not expect anybody who went to school to take that position. Now you are talking of governing council. Do they have autonomy? When I was realities, universities were given their money annually, and the council manages it. I mean, we're managing it. The vice chancellor, the bursar, the principal officers were discussing on the instructions of the vice chancellor. But now they pay our salary from ASUU or wherever they are IPPIS things. I didn't feel happy, so also many of my colleagues did not. You and all over the country, the ASUU body. We didn't feel it, but they forced it or not. So talking about autonomy, people don't understand. They think autonomy is you have to go and generate your funds yourself. The pro-chancellor has no power over, even these days, employment of lecturers. We groom people, we do whatever they apply, and what we hear now is that the thing must pass through Abuja through 8 different directors before they are employed. In my department, every lecturer is doing the work of 4 lecturers, and that's what EAA means, and academic allowance. And they are saying that in next year's budget that they're going to do this. Nobody will take any government serious on promissory notes. They have access to money wherever they want to take it. TEF fund is our creation. We told them that if you take 2% from the profits of the company, you'll be able to fund education. And what did they do at the end of the day? They hijacked it. Nigerians attending private schools, and they are using TEF fund on only government-owned schools, as if the Nigerians in private schools should not have access to that money. I was bachelor of a private school, and there was something we didn't say. And they said even we should even be contributing to TEF fund. You have 2 twin brothers, one is in a private school, the other one is in a... I know you. If we are to pay school fees, if you are to pay salary from school fees, no student will pay less than 1 million naira. So federal government is subsidizing heavily, and they are not doing that for students in private schools. And that's why their fees are exorbitant. And how many Nigerians can afford exorbitant fees? Not even professors.
Well, Prof, there's something you said earlier that I think we might need to give a little attention to. You cited the 80s thereabout, where universities could take care of issues on their own. At what point did that change? Because clearly the current system has not worked and is not working and is not likely to work. So at what point did we lose that, what you call, autonomy of the universities that brought us to where we are now? How do we reverse that trend?
It is a gradual thing. It's not, you can't pinpoint a point at which that change. The regime of Obasanjo started it. If you remember Ali months ago, I was in my father here then. We were feeding was tripled in terms of the cost and everything. The Ali must go era. So it started gradually, and each successive government started building over the decay of the tertiary institutions. Projects that were approved under that regime, under Shagari regime, were cancelled in a jiffy by Buhari regime. About 10 projects were going on. Chief Simiadiba was appointed as then he reported. And we had this information that federal government has said, so that's another step. Then came the Obasanjo regime of 1999. It's true, he took steps, Abdulkadir Salami, or what's his name? His predecessor, he took steps to increase our salary. If you add what we were earning before then, it's ridiculous. But I don't think I need to blame anybody for doing the obvious. To thank anybody for doing the obvious. Then later they started withdrawing autonomy gradually. So it's a gradual thing that successive governments have. And when this APC government came in and found that PDP did not honor the agreement, they started doing something, and we were very happy, only to discover that there's no difference between them and PDP. So it's a gradual thing, been going on. And something has to happen to stop this. It's mess.
Well, so at the moment, Prof, I mean, when government says they can only afford 23.5% salary increase for all category of workforce in the university, except for the professorial cadre who can enjoy 35% upwards. So how does that sound to you? Is that acceptable to lecturers, for instance?
As long as a professor earns less than a senator, earns less than a major in the army, it's not acceptable. I repeat, as long as a professor earns less than a senator or any member of the National Assembly, whether senator or friend or whatever, it's not acceptable. Well, look at it. Somebody says it's going to increase your salary, but it's going to put it in next year's budget. That 35% for professors, I really don't know why they're sending differential. It should be the same percentage all over. We all visit the same market and all that. Maybe they want to appeal to professors and so that we can persuade our junior ones to. No, nobody's going to do that. But even what they have promised, have they released it? You stop somebody. You stop somebody of his salaries because of a misconception, and you are now saying he wants double, more than double his salary, and you are now offering 35%. You have not even paid it. I hope their tactical committee will review that upwards. If they do it upwards and they pay our salaries without our. Those of us who are not in IPPIS receive salaries through that fraudulent IPPIS.
So
let
Prof,
them do it. If it's in my account, if the money is in our account, then we can persuade our younger colleagues to go back to work.
Oh dear. So what if government comes up and says, all right, in the interest of stability and peace, we'd like to rescind our decision concerning the no work, no pay. We'll pay all the backlog. Do you think the lecturers will go back to classrooms?
That is the least they should do. They will do it. And if they do it, then we reach a bridge, then let us start from there. If they do it, we have not achieved anything in what we asked for. What they do, that's the starting point. I'm not going to speak on behalf of every lecturer here, but if they do that, they are just trying to apologize, ask for forgiveness for starving us. And that's the thing. Some people have succumbed to hunger, they have gone back to work. And I don't see what the technologist is doing in the lab when we are not teaching what they have gone back to work, maybe because they feel whatever. But that's up to them, and I'm not blaming anybody for that. If government says that is a first step in the right direction, and when we get there, we'll know what to tell our colleagues. But that does not mean that we have won, and that does not mean that they have attended to our problem. As I said, we will not accept promised treatment. But if you pay me what you are owing me, then that's a different scenario. When they do that, then we will address it.
Prof, just before we go, at the end of the day, this is about students. So many of them, most certainly you have some information about what's happening to a sizable number of students, young people in the universities today, many of them literally disoriented. I don't even know how to put the question to you, but I'm just wondering what the thoughts of ASUU are on this issue of how this strike is impacting the students directly, both currently and in their near or far future.
I know a family, the father, the mother, they are both professors. The first two children are lecturers. The last two are students. So that's our entire family. People talk as if they think we don't have children in universities. All our children go to public universities. So you are now asking me to talk about the fate of students as if I don't have children, as if we don't have children in school. Virtually 90% of us, especially the middle age and young ones, have their children in the university. So it's not my responsibility to talk about that. It is the responsibility of the irresponsible government to address that issue so that they can go back to work. To school. We cannot be held responsible for what the government is guilty of. We are also victims. When we don't teach, our children are also at school in our homes. People talk as if we don't have children in this school. It is the politicians that don't have children in Nigerian school. That's why they are taking this thing with levity. All their children are abroad, studying or in private universities. Go to private universities, Afe Babalola, the one owned by Atiku and all that. That's where their children are, if they're not abroad. So they're not affected. So please, nobody should blame lecturers for the plight of students who have been at home. Blame the government. What they have just done yesterday, they should have done right from the first week of our strike, and everything would have been resolved. We don't like the way we're on strike. We don't enjoy it.
We hope that at least now that, several committees are meeting, different groups are meeting, everyone looks forward to a time where it will all be resolved amicably, I dare say. But we have to thank you very much indeed for your perspective this morning, Professor Tola Badejo, former Vice Chancellor of Wesley University in Ondo State. And now back to the Obafemi Awolowo University Department of Zoology. Thank you, Prof, for your perspective this morning.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, we will be back in a moment. Stay with us.